What happens when an actor finally lands the role that turns him into a household name, only to discover that the very same role threatens to end his career? That's the story of Steve Forrest, the man who led the gritty police drama S.W.A.T. in the 1970s. For a brief moment, Forrest was at the top of television, admired for his commanding presence and undeniable charisma. But when the cameras stopped rolling, the fame he had worked decades to earn became a trap. This is the untold story of how S.W.A.T. nearly pushed Steve Forrest to walk away from acting forever. Forrest wasn't a newcomer to Hollywood when S.W.A.T. premiered in 1975, born William Forrest Andrews in Huntsville, Texas. He had built a steady career in film and television throughout the 50s and 60s. He had the looks, the talent, and the persistence to survive in an unforgiving industry. But while he appeared in westerns, war films, and guest spots on television dramas, he had yet to find the breakthrough role that would make audiences truly remember his name. That all changed when he was cast as Lieutenant Dan Hondo Harrelson, the tough but fair leader of an elite police unit in a BC's S.W.A.T. The show was a phenomenon. With its action-packed sequences, stylized theme song, and gritty portrayal of law enforcement, it captured the attention of audiences across America. Children imitated the characters, toy companies cashed in on the craze, and Steve Forrest suddenly found himself the face of a hit series. For an actor who had spent years playing supporting parts, it seemed like his moment had finally arrived. But in Hollywood, success can be fleeting and sometimes dangerous. Despite its popularity, S.W.A.T. ran into controversy. Critics argued that it glorified violence, and network executives grew nervous about the show's direction. After just 2 seasons, the plug was pulled. For the network, it was simply a business decision. But for Steve Forrest, it was devastating. The role that had finally brought him into the spotlight disappeared almost overnight. And with it came an unexpected burden: typecasting. Forrest had become so closely identified with Hondo that casting directors struggled to see him as anything else. The recognition he craved had come at a cost. It limited the very opportunities he had spent his career chasing. Behind the scenes, Forrest was growing disillusioned. Friends recalled that he questioned whether the endless grind of auditioning and the constant rejection were worth it anymore. After all, he had reached the top, only to have it snatched away just as quickly. Hollywood can be cruel that way. The same role that brings fame can just as easily trap an actor in its shadow. For Forrest, the thought of giving up acting altogether became very real. And yet, he didn't. Instead of walking away, Steve Forrest reinvented himself. He leaned into his natural authority, taking on roles that showcased his strength and gravitas. Over the years, he appeared in series like Dallas, Murder, She Wrote, and The Love Boat, as well as films such as Spies Like Us, though he never again found a role as iconic as S.W.A.T. He carved out a career built on consistency, professionalism, and longevity. The very resilience that kept him alive on screen as Hondo was the same resilience that kept him alive in Hollywood. Still, the tragedy of Steve Forrest's story is that his greatest triumph was also his greatest obstacle. S.W.A.T. gave him recognition but nearly cost him his passion. It proved that in Hollywood, success is never simple. It comes with strings attached, expectations that can suffocate even the most seasoned performers. Forrest's brush with quitting serves as a reminder that fame isn't always freedom. What makes his story powerful is that he chose perseverance over surrender. By refusing to let one role define him, he turned what could have been the end of his career into a new chapter. And while he may always be remembered first and foremost as Lieutenant Hondo, Steve Forrest's true legacy lies in his determination to keep going. Even when the industry tried to write him off. In the end, his near departure from acting wasn't a story of defeat, but of survival. And survival in Hollywood is its own kind of victory.